bit of a presentation I've done recently that I think is a real good summation of kind of what I'm talking about when I come here and tell you what I do for a living. So it is not PowerPoint. I finally learned how to do it, but we're gonna knock this out. So I am the Houston tax attorney. I will be branded that way next year and get things going. So we're going to go through this just in a way so you can kind of get an idea as to who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm really looking out for when I tell you I work with IRS letters. So the first thing I have on here is I used to work for this guy, Patrick Cox with Tax Masters. And so I had to use this. They told me I could be anything I wanted, so I became the Tax Master. So I just thought it was a funny name. And here is my Instagram and YouTube. It's at Houston Tax Attorney. Facebook is the law firm of Keith Cothroll. And on my YouTube and my Instagram, Houston Tax Attorney, you'll see tax videos that I post each week about whatever's going on. So I pick a topic, a minute and a half, I talk about it, post a video, and you'll be able to see that. So what am I doing when I'm not fighting IRS? I like to brew craft beer, drink craft beer as much as I can, watch a little baseball, and then I'm also an avid Halloween person, so I really like to dress up for Halloween, and that was me as a big boy a few years ago. I shaved my beard off. That's West Texas. That's the area of the country I'm from, and that's me hiking up there. And that is my girlfriend, Michelle, who, but every chance she gets, she's asked me when I'm going to propose, and I tell her soon, and it will be soon. So, a tax case, what the IRS does, it's the first thing they're going to do is send you a letter. The second thing that happens is you'll lose your mind. You call me to help, and the problem is solved. But seriously, what am I really talking about with these letters? These letters are a couple of things. Either you owe something, you've been audited, you forgot to report something, or you failed to do something. They will give you time to respond, and you'll have the ability to respond with records or agree and pay the bill. And when you pay the bill, you've got a couple of options. You can do a regular payment plan, installment agreement. If you owe $100,000 or less to the IRS, they'll let you do what's called a streamlined agreement, and that's going to be over 84 months. So you just take your balance, you divide it by 84 months, and that's what you pay. And if you can't afford it, then what you'll be able to do is possibly an offer compromise if you qualify for it. Be really leery of the companies that talk about the offers and compromises, because it's very specific to the taxpayer. Essentially, if you've got enough money to pay the IRS and you got it sitting in savings, or you got it something you can liquidate, he will not give you a tax settlement offer. They're going to want you to pay it or just go ahead and do a payment plan. So when you hear me say every week or every time that I do happen to get here on V50, I handle all letters the IRS sends you. Let's look at some examples. The first one is a CP2000. This is an underreporting letter. What this means is when you filed your tax return, there's something you forgot. And so this particular case and this particular gentleman, I've blocked out all the names here, but he owes $82,000 because he did not file some 1099s, and the IRS found them and said, this is what you owe, not what your tax return says. So what we did in this case is it happened to be some money that his ex-wife took out that he didn't know about. And so we weren't able to get all of it wiped out, but we were able to get him some benefit and a little bit of break on some taxes. So got him a little bit of help on that. The second one is the audit report. And this is longer than this, but what you'll see here is this is everything here that you see on this page is all the expenses that the IRS disallowed because either you didn't have the records for it, you didn't have the receipts, or you're not allowed to take it in the first place. And so in this particular gentleman, he had some of the records, but a lot of it was things that he could not deduct that were personal expenses, and that's why he owes so much. And so we're actually going to tax court on this case because the revenue agent screwed up on his income, but most of this is going to stay. And what I mean by tax court is what I'm going to talk about next. Another thing too is when you're looking at this audit report, you're going to see, tax liabilities, 92,000, and then you got these penalties as well. And the penalties are going to be there. Now, if you had a really bad tax preparer that didn't do it right, we might be able to get some of that reduced, but it's very unlikely. The next thing is the notice of deficiency. This is what allows me to file tax court if needed. This is the final report you get from the IRS before they start billing you. And once they start billing you, if you ignore those letters, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to levy and garnish you, file tax liens. So you just, this is one of the most important letters that I can get and not sit on it, because once that January 25th, 2021 date ends, then it's very hard for me to reopen the audit and get back and show records and get things done. I can do it, but it might take a couple of years. So it's really important to, when somebody gets this letter, to call me. And I am licensed to go to tax court. Typically what I'll do is I'll go to appeals and argue the case, or argue it with the IRS attorney and get it resolved that way. And the last one is the revenue officer. So what the revenue officer does compared to the revenue agent, the revenue officer is scrutinizing your finances to say, what can you pay the IRS? Strangely enough, this has only happened about 2 or 3 times, but homestead does not matter. And so if you ignore that revenue officer and you don't pay your bill, eventually they can go and they can attack your homestead. Even if you have a state protection, they have actually done a foreclosure on it in a couple of cases. It doesn't happen a lot, and that's not going to happen unless you ignore them and you don't try to fix your problem. And so this is just a letter from the revenue officer. It basically says, hey, you got to pay us by this date. You need to get with us and tell us what you want to do. So that's all that I have. And essentially, the reason why I wanted to show you those letters today is so that you could, if you happen to get one, or if somebody knows it's one, you have an idea of what I can do with it. And it's all dependent on what defense you have and what records you have. The more you have, the better off you are. But regardless, whether you've got nothing or you have something, I can take care of it on the audit side, or try to resolve it maybe through an offer and compromise. So that's all I have for today. Thanks.